And that makes complete sense. And also, I think that's a genuinely feasible or possible thing for us to repeat. I mean, one of the things that I think I worked out really quite early on when I was first in business was that it would be relatively straightforward for me to write some kind of a report by doing some kind of a research project. So I wrote to a number of organizations, asked for access to a certain level of people, and said that I had this theory I wanted to be able to prove or disprove, and could I possibly work with their people? They let me in. I worked with their people because it was free. They got the research report. But on the back end of that, they'd nearly always say to me, okay, Sue, now you've spotted this, how do we fix it? And
exactly.
I said, now let me just talk to you about this program I've designed. And to be honest, I don't think I actually worked it out as a sales pitch, but it ended up being a sales pitch. But it was an incredibly user-friendly way of getting into the businesses. And the majority of the businesses, not a word of a lie, were perfectly happy to let me, because they'd already built a rapport, they liked what they could see, and they genuinely thought there'd be value, not least because I proved there was a need. And I do think that point of pain is sometimes the way to be able to do business, isn't it? So
very much. Well, what you just said there is that you didn't sell it, you introduced it.
Absolutely.
You introduced them to a pain point, and then they said, do you have a solution? Well, yeah, I do. So now you're asking me. I'm not saying I have a solution to a problem. Should we see if you have that problem? Because that's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, let's have a look and see where we are and where the areas for improvement are. Oh, do you have a solution for this? Yes, I do.
Yes. And I've also just realized I ticked that box that you were talking about a few minutes ago, which is I gave them something first, didn't I?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Give before you get is such an incredibly powerful tool in business. And it's not very prevalent in my experience. People are like, buy my stuff, I'll give you some value. But it's very rarely, let me lead with some value first. And quite often, people misinterpret what that value is. I'm not just talking about free giveaways or free assessment or free course or free. I don't even like free, to be completely honest. But what I would see this as is, I'm a great connector. I know lots and lots of people. Who do I know that I could introduce you to that could really help you move forward? What is it you're trying to achieve at the moment? And who might I know in my phone book that can help you? I have a line that I use all the time. We're getting on really well, and I'm pretty sure there's people in my phone book that'd be helpful for you and people in your phone book that'd be helpful for me. So why don't we explore what it is we want help with?
Right.
And that right there is, well, actually, one of the things we're doing at the moment is this, this, and this. And if that's something that I feel is in my lexicon, that's something that I can help them with, then I say, oh, actually, it's funny you should say that because it's one of the things that we do. If I don't, then I will also say, I really don't think that's something I can help you with, but I know this person and this person. Let me make an introduction for you and see what happens.
Right.
And I do that for lots of reasons, because you reap what you sow, and it's good energy and all that kind of stuff. But, the amount of times that's also produced business, because that client that I couldn't help and I made that referral for, they want to repay the favor. I mean, if you've ever done somebody a favor, you'll see how quickly they want to repay it. They're like, oh,
absolutely.
You did me a solid, let me help you, kind of thing.
I agree completely. I believe that is formally called the law of reciprocity. So apparently, they want to do something reciprocal. And I would piggyback on that really quickly, because Phil's just given you a gem there. But I definitely remember doing a little bit of a pitch with their agreement for a possible workshop. It happened to be on stress to an organization, and they were quite keen to purchase. But during the course of the conversation, they quite rightly said, so if we don't choose to use you, thank you so much for coming in. I said, look, no problem at all. But you do need a policy on stress. Sounds like it's a dry document right now, but back then it made a lot of sense in the context of the relationship. And I said, let me send that through to you. It's completely for free, and I'm sure it will be useful to you. And they kind of looked at me as if to say, well, that would be really great. Thank you very much. So I kind of left the interview stroke chat, didn't think anything more of it. Sure enough, I got the work, and I'm almost certain it was because I went what I would call that extra mile. So I think there's also that blended in your offering, isn't there?
Absolutely.
I'm willing to see what I can do for you. No expectations, but hey, if it happens, it happens. And that's the vibe that will attract in the tribe, isn't it?
Very much so. Well, let me give you a couple of real life examples of that I think will kind of show your audience exactly the power of this. So I do this all the time, and I teach it with our formula for winning keynote speaking gigs, because 6 to 8 months before an event or exhibition is happening, the event organizer, the director, the owner is busy focused on two things: solidifying good speakers so that they can sell more tickets, and selling tickets and exhibition space. That's all they're focused on. So if you can give them a platform, a stage, a magazine, a podcast, or whatever, a Facebook Live, a LinkedIn Live, whatever it is, to come and say, I have people in my audience that I think would really benefit from this event and may even be interested in, buying exhibition space or sponsoring the event. Why don't you come on and talk about what it is you're trying to do and who it is you're trying to empower? Brilliant. The amount of times that leads to paid speaking arrangements, self-stage opportunities, I've lost count.
Right? I love that.